I think over time and throughout our lives, we're asked what we believe in. And it's not always the question of what do you believe in, it's asked in different ways to different people. And so I'm making this video or recording to not really make anyone believe anything. I'm just saying what I think. I think the more people speak the truth of what they experience and how they see the world, the better we can understand one another and get to a deeper, more universal truth. But I think a lot of people are searching. Some people will find it in a person, others in a place. Some people will find it in a thing. Some people will find it in a job, but many people find it many different ways. Everybody has a different need, a different diet, if you will. Like different animals eat different things. You can't say the fish is not important or bad because it eats fish food while the dog eats something else. No, what works for the fish works for the fish, and what works for the dog works for the dog. Some things spill over into other species, you know. It even works with plants. Different plants have different nutritional needs. And so their soil composition and things like that have to be unique for them, you know? So it's like people are different. Sadly, sometimes we live in a world where we're made to believe that we all have to be the same. And it doesn't come out in a direct way. It's not said like that, because if it was said like that, everyone has to be the same. Not many people would believe it, because that's a blatant lie. Difference in race, difference in culture, difference in history, difference in all sorts of things, thinking, um, emotional intelligence, and difference in so many different aspects of being a person. To say that every single person from every single walk of life in every single country and culture and color even has to be the same is such a big lie. And if it was said like that, it would be so poorly received. So what happens is the powers that be, or the forces above, or whatever you call them, because there's something, they go ahead and create a system where you're very subtly following that lie. The lie that says we all have to believe the same way, that you can't find your salvation or enlightenment or fill in the blank for you. You can't find it unless you do this. And that's pride. That's when you impose your will on other people, and that's not right. If I forced a fish to eat dog food its whole life, eventually it would get sick and die. Unless there was something in that fish that could survive that. A lot of people are being snuffed out spiritually. They're being made to believe that their thing, the thing that works for them, is in something else that would work for someone else, and that's not true. That's why you have to be tuned into who you are, in your spirit or in your mind or in your heart or wherever that thing lives. You have to find it. That's your narrow path. It's your thing for a reason. Literally your thing. And you can't wait for someone else to give it to you, or wait for someone to teach you about it. They can help you along the way. They can point you in a similar direction that they took that worked for them, and then you have to kind of make it work for you. You can't take another person's experience and perfectly apply it to your situation, because it's just not going to work. And you're walking in a direction you think is right because it's true, but is it true for you? It's not saying that all advice is bad, because that's not true either. But the truth still lies in the fact that we as people are diverse. Spirits are diverse, minds are diverse, nature itself is diverse. You go to a forest and you see all sorts of different things. You don't just see one type of tree, you see 10, 20, 30. You don't see one type of fungus, you see hundreds. You don't see one type of bird, you don't see a single type of animal. Even in soil, the microbiology of soil, you see so many different things. I like to say if God is a reflection of his creation, or at least his creation reflects aspects of him, then his desire for diversity is present in his creation. And I don't mean God in the Christian sense, or even in the Muslim sense, or in the Hindu sense, or any sense really. I just mean whatever you take that word to mean for you. I'm fully in belief at this point that God, however he presents himself to you, is not intimidated by being called something that isn't mainstream or popular. I believe that for some people, their connection with this force, this divine guidance, this universal truth, this whatever it is for you, some people have a unique relationship with that. I believe a farm is only good for some things. And in this world, we're kind of like living on a farm. We have one crop on a farm, or a few, but most farms are singular. They're just one crop, a large area of singular produce. And that's good when you have a system that needs it. But if you look at it from a literal point of view, in order to create many farms we have now, you have to destroy everything that's already there. All the little bugs and all the microbiomes and habitats, and clear everything. It's not always good. On a spiritual level, that's kind of what happened in this world. You have kings or powerful people that decided, I want to farm, and they farmed people. And the farming they did involved them clearing out every belief, every environment, every difference, every whatever, creating this one size fits all sort of thing. And it's not bad because it works for some people. But not everyone wants to eat corn every day. Not everyone wants to just see rows and rows of wheat. The truth is, I believe we're all supposed to be a little bit different aspects of the same God. Even in the Bible, it says there's tribes in heaven. And I've visited tribes, and they're usually very diverse from one another. Similar in many ways, in the universal ways, but diverse in the ways that are unique to them, to their family structures and environments and cultural beliefs and understandings. To say that God doesn't want diversity is a lie. I'm not saying that every belief is right. I'm not saying that you can go and harm others and do wrong and kill or steal or cheat or lie and do immoral things, but I believe there's a fine line between what I'm saying and what some people will hear. What I'm saying is that you have to be aware. It all comes down to awareness and intent. Someone defending themselves who ends up killing a person isn't going to be seen as a murderer. Not by a just system. But a person who does it for the wrong reason is usually the problem in this world. We have a lot of people that do things for the wrong reason, but that makes it harder for that 1 out of 10, I say maybe 9 times out of 10 it's like this. But what about that one time it isn't? What do we do for that person? These systems are beautiful in some ways, but they're also restrictive to some people. For those that don't want to think on their own, it's a great thing. Lets them go into energy saving mode, autopilot through their life. But for the people that have a mind that wants to think and wonder and wander, those people are restricted by such systems. And over time, they're unhappy because deep down inside, they know something's not right. They know that this can be the truth, but it's not their truth fully. You know? I'd like to think that all the options presented in most situations are wrong. That the path for you is truly the path for you. That the narrow way, if you will, is truly narrow. It's like a fine line dividing a pie chart. And you say, which one is the right one, this side or that side? And you say neither. The truth is the line between them. You know? People don't always recognize the fine lines between the world we live in. Diversity has become division. Differences have been weaponized. And that's not how we're supposed to live. We're supposed to understand and honor one another and recognize each other in terms of what we believe on the fundamental level of truth, the universal truth. But it's hard to explain that because people have been taught their whole lives that they have to go ahead and defend these systems that they didn't create, that they didn't even help create. And they're taught to be so ferocious towards anything outside of that system that they end up pushing everything away. It's hard to explain that to people because they hear the trigger words that they were taught to hear. When you say, what works for you, maybe the Christians will say, no, Jesus is the only way. And it's true on a fundamentally true level. Jesus, who represents love and peace and truth, is the only way. But if you continue to say Jesus, Jesus, Jesus without recognizing the spiritual side of what he is, which is the fundamental of his message, is love, peace, joy. So if you replace the word Jesus is the only way with love is the only way, peace is the only way, joy is the only way, you have the truth right there. People are so stuck in tradition and culture that they do not see the truth anymore. It's funny because when Jesus came to this earth, he had the very precarious problem of of dealing with people who were in some ways completely blinded by tradition. Nothing wrong with tradition, but when you lose sight of what the tradition was based on, there's an issue. There's nothing wrong with being a Christian or a Muslim or whatever. The issue comes when you are that and only that, or the thing you believe in fundamentally is ignored. The values of the thing that you believe in are obscure, or they can't be put into practice because there's too many layers to get to them. Before I can love, you have to be in this position in this church, or in this position in this, whatever it is, organization or mosque, or it's become complicated to just do the things we're supposed to do. And I think a lot of people deep down inside are aware of this. They're just afraid to step outside of what they know. They're afraid to say, yeah, I think that maybe there's some wiggle room here. I think that maybe there's a compromise that could be made here for the sake of peace. It's become rigid, and no, I'm not pushing in any direction. It's like the argument with LGBTQ. That's a touchy one for a lot of religions, because it's like you're supposed to just say, no, that's bad, and there's no exception. But the truth, I think, comes from fear. This truth they believe to be true is based in fear. You being around these people is not going to change you if you truly believe what you believe in. So why are you afraid to be around them? But then the argument is made, well, what about the impressionable? Okay, that's a good argument to make, but that's where you have to negotiate borders, parameters, and different things. You can't just get mad at the other side and say, you guys are wrong. But then again, there's a fine line between that one and so many fine lines, you know? If we dived into every single fine line, it'd be every gray area, every fine line, and every subtlety. We'd be talking forever. That's why you just have to know inside, you know? But even with that being said, there's still a truth that each person has to recognize themselves, and it is themselves. It's not something they can be told. It's not something they could be guided into by another person. It has to be accepted by them. It has to be their choice. All we can do is say it, or live it, or whatever else. And if they recognize it as the truth, then they do. And if they don't, then they don't.